Yeah, we got this clock done, but I'm not real happy with the way bird's operating. As it approaches cuckooing, the door is starting to push open. Now that means that little lever that's on that brass lever, little extension that pushes the door open, is too close. So it's starting to push on it as it's setting to strike. But if I set it further away, then it won't push the door open at all, and the door doesn't open very far. So that means that I got to do is I got to get in and take that movement apart, and I got to make a new cam, brass cam for that movement. Make it a little bigger in diameter so it lifts that brass lever higher, which will push the extension further and allow me to set it so that it won't be pushing the door open before it cuckoos, but it'll open the door all the way. So I'm going to make one that's maybe 1.5 millimeters to 2 millimeters bigger in diameter. And that cam is what determines how high this lever will be lifted when this goes to strike, because this will run this way. Right, this then turns, lifts this cam. That cam then in turn, or that lever then in turn, as this extension reaches down here. And as that brass lever is lifted, this lever is pushed in. That pushes against this lever, which is what moves the bird in and out. And as this is being lifted in preparation to strike, this is going to move ever so slightly in. So if you have this too close to this, it'll start pushing the door open before it strikes, slowly pushing it open. It shouldn't open until it actually starts striking. So if you keep it far enough away that it doesn't push against this until it's ready to strike, then when it does go all the way in the strike mode, it doesn't push on this far enough to open the door completely. And that's because this cam is worn. It's a smaller diameter across here than it was when it was first manufactured. It's worn down. It didn't appear to be worn when I had it apart. Once I get it all back together and it's running, it was operating just like that thing was worn. So what I need to do is I just need to make this bigger, and I think I'll just turn a new one, and we will make it about a millimeter or so, because if this lifts 1 millimeter more, that moves considerably more than 1 millimeter. Probably it's at least a 2 to 1, so it'll move at least 2 millimeters. And moving this 2 millimeters will make a difference on whether the door stays open or it doesn't open far enough. Anyway, you see the movement of this is magnified up here too. So even a millimeter difference on that will be quite a bit, and I'm going to take that out then and make a new one. Alright, using the crow's foot and the vise, I was able to put this in here And then using a stake that had a hole in the end, I was able to put the stake over the top of the pivot, but the hole was still small enough that the shoulder went onto the arbor, and then by hitting it drove this down, and the cam came off. And now what I got to do is I got to take a piece of round stock and cut a disc the size that I need, and then we'll lay this on top, and we will maintain that same curve that's on there that does the lifting of the piece, and everything should work just fine. Okay, I measured this up. The diameter of this is 15, say about 15.2. 15.2 millimeters. So we want to go about 17. And I have a piece of stock here. That's that must have been done English. This is 750, so that's 3/4 of an inch. We'll turn this down a little bit. We'll drill a hole in it the same size as this, and I can use a piece of rod to put the two together, do some die layout on this, scratch out the dimensions, and cut it out. Now it needs to be about this thickness on this thing is about 1.9 millimeters. So we'll just face this, turn it down, do a cut off at one point about 2 millimeters. We'll finish it after we get it cut off, and we'll center drill it and put the hole in it. And then once we get that blank out, then we'll cut that notch in and finish it with file. Old on the left, new on the right. A little bigger. We'll see how she works. Okay, there's the new cam. A little bigger. Got about a millimeter in the radius, so it should raise that lever a little higher. And while I was at it, that end of the brass lever that was that stops the pin was also pretty worn. So I went ahead and soldered on a new piece, silver solder, reshaped it as it was just barely catching the pin, so made a new stop on it.